Well, the Dashney Women's Leadership Accelerator is the topic of this episode of the MSU Today podcast and radio show. And the accelerator is designed to champion leadership opportunities for women in business. It's based in the Broad College of Business, and we happen to have with us the person whose name is on the accelerator, Helen Dashney. Helen, great to welcome you to MSU Today.
Thank you, Russ. It's a pleasure to be here and to have two of the DWLA scholars with us.
Indeed it is. Before we talk to our scholars, tell us a little bit about what is the accelerator, sort of the vision and the mission, and why it's even necessary.
Well, we're excited to have the accelerator in place now. It's something that we have dreamt about for a while in the Broad College and finally came to fruition this fall. We feel that it's really important for students to get off to a strong start in their careers in order to be able to go up the ranks, if you will, to senior or C-suite level positions. So we did some research last spring and identified some key areas that we think students can hone to be able to be front runners when they join the companies after graduation. So we're working on a number of skill development, and we want them to get past that often broken first rung on the corporate ladder to be able to get strong footing when they get started and excel faster into senior leadership positions, Russ.
And frame the issue a little bit, because women just simply aren't getting to the C-suite as often or as soon, right?
There's lots of information and all kinds of rankings, how few women CEOs there are, or even how few women there are in the leadership team of a company. Oftentimes you see women in general counsel positions or HR positions, but we want to see women in finance and supply chain and some of the other key positions, technology positions that companies have.
Yes, and the accelerator was made possible in part by a gift from a student of yours, a mentor. It's a really cool circle of life story. Tell us about Priya and how she made this possible and sort of why.
Yes, for sure, Russ. There's probably no bigger honor than to have an entity named after you by a former student. Priya Balasubramaniam is her name. She was a student of mine in the full-time MBA program back in the 2000-2001 era. And I think the key story about Priya was that she came through the program during the dot-com boom and bust. So she was a woman who had multiple offers during the boom, and then during the bust, she was one who had her offer rescinded. So she and I worked together quite extensively to be able to figure out what her next steps were going to be. And fortunately for the company, Apple, I would say, they gave her the opportunity to re-interview for the position she had initially declined, and they hired her on the second try. I always said I think Apple made the better decision than Priya because she's gone on to do so many wonderful things. She is currently VP of Operations for the iPhone and other areas. She actually helped to bring the first iPhone to market in 2007.
Wow!
So she has gained gone up the corporate ladder quite quickly at Apple for sure. She and I had stayed together during my time at MSU and her time at Apple. When she would come to campus, we'd meet for breakfast or whatever. One of the things I remember most about Priya, if I can say, during the pandemic, students had their internships rescinded. Having worked in career services a long time, I knew that could really be devastating to students because they would have nothing to share the next year when it came to recruiting. So I started a project with our then dean's support to raise money from individuals and companies and to use my contacts to get companies to offer work experiences. We didn't call them internships. They didn't have to pay for the student. The money that I raised actually turned out to be scholarship money for the students. So it was sort of a win-win for everybody. Priya and Apple stepped up and hired 9 students out of the 35 I placed that summer. So Priya was first on it, and so I've always admired her extensively for that. She is a member of our college advisory board now, and she will be its president next year.
Wow. Again, congratulations.
Thank
It's so
you.
cool that you've had that kind of an impact on someone that they want to allow you to do that, impacting with other people too.
I would say her impact on
Yeah.
me is probably greater than mine on hers.
When it's
but
mutual, that's
we'll
even
take
better,
it.
right? So
Yeah, I had a wonderful visit with her at Apple Park this summer, and that clearly was a highlight for
I'll bet that's
my
great.
career.
Well, Helen, you've brought a couple of the DWLA scholars with you.
Yep.
Why don't you introduce us to Abby and Khadijah?
I would love to. So we had welcomed our first cohort of students in December, and today joining me are Abby Peck, who she'll tell a little bit about herself, but she is a hospitality business student. Very, very excited to have a student from our School of Hospitality Business in our program, and also Khadijah Kapaswala, who is from Canton, Michigan. She'll tell about herself, and these two women are very, very involved already in the DWLA. I'm going to have Abby tell a little bit about what she's organizing, and I've learned only after admitting her that Khadijah is wonderfully talented artistically, and she's been working her magic on a lot for DWLA, so she'll get to tell about that.
Awesome. So, Abby, you first. Tell us a little bit about yourself, why you chose MSU, and what do you like about the Broad College and this new accelerator?
Yes, so I chose MSU because I'm originally from Lexington, Kentucky, right where the University of Kentucky is located, and I wanted the big college experience, but still able to spread my wings and kind of leave my hometown and celebrate something new and experience something new. And the School of Hospitality here at MSU is really well known and stood out to me on a couple of lists, and I applied and visited and absolutely loved it. I'm a big basketball fan, so MSU basketball definitely helped pull me here a little bit. I love Broad. I didn't know what to expect coming from Kentucky. I didn't really know anyone my freshman year, and I became really involved with the meeting and events club in the Hospitality Association, which was so wonderful. I met so many of friends and have really built a home in the HB community. And I was really excited to join this leadership accelerator because as a student in the School of Hospitality Business, I don't have a lot of classes with other Broad students. And it's been really wonderful for me to connect with the broader Broad community and really get to meet new women who I would have not met otherwise.
And do you root for the Spartans over the Wildcats in the
Well,
the
they
Champions
did
Classic?
play my freshman year, and I was rooting for a good game.
There you go. Well, Khadijah, same question. Why MSU for you? A little bit of your background.
Of course. So I personally, when I was in high school, I had my eyes set on a few different colleges. I was really interested in going out of state. Like I said, I'm from Canton, Michigan. Eventually, it didn't work out for me, but rejection is redirection. So I found myself at Michigan State University. As soon as I stepped foot on campus, I knew I wanted to get involved in student organizations. That was going to be the thing that was going to, help me make a big school smaller. And that's exactly what I did. And I found home in a lot of business organizations here on campus. And I actually started out on a pre-medical path. My first semester, I was interested in, being some kind of physician or healthcare worker. But as I got more involved in some of the business organizations on campus, I saw, a strength in that area, and I decided to switch my major. So I am studying supply chain management now, and it's been a great decision for me. I love the curriculum. Obviously, Broad is, known for its supply chain management program, and just taking the classes this semester, I'm able to see, the benefits of that. So yeah, that's a little bit about my background.
And Khadijah, I'll stay with you. Talk about the issue of a lack of women in the C-suite, or the slower track to get there at least, and what attracted you to joining the accelerator?
Of course. So I'll start with that second part of that question. I think, like I said, being in the business college, there are a lot of resources for professional development. There are a lot of organizations you can join, but DWLA offered a very unique professional development training program. Just because of how small the group is, that creates an environment where you can get a lot of one-on-one mentorship and coaching that's very catered to the skills that you want to develop. So one of the key aspects of the program is the mentorship with Helen that you get, and a few other faculty professors. We focus specifically on issues that women specifically face. I can kind of frame that in something that we discussed in our last workshop, which was something that might seem a little bit insignificant, but something that we talked about a lot is posture and the way that you physically hold yourself up. A lot of times women tend to try to take up as little space as possible, and especially in corporate settings. And we spent, a good 30 minutes just practicing how to physically take up the space that you're in, and what that means and how it can build your confidence and make you kind of embrace the space that you're in. So that's kind of an example of skills that we're trying to identify and improve in our scholars.
Cool, interesting. And Abby, what are you enjoying about the accelerator and taking from it so far?
Yes, I'm really enjoying, like Khadijah kind of mentioned, all the workshops that we've been doing. We're also working with Helen on developing a certain skill every semester. So I'm currently working on developing my confidence and my ability to basically just understand a situation and feel comfortable not knowing everything, which I think is really important, because you're never going to know everything. And as women, sometimes we shrink into ourselves when we feel uncertain. And I'm really working on building that confidence and feeling more comfortable in situations that I'm in. And so that's something I'm really excited about to work with Helen on, and really continue to develop throughout this school year.
That's great. And Helen, talk a little bit more about how you go about working in the accelerator with the students. It's a lot of one-on-one mentoring.
There
right?
is quite a lot of one-on-one mentoring. And the reason that came about is, one, first of all, I would do it regardless, because that's why after 50-some years of working, I'm still working, because I love to work individually with college students and as well as with them in a group. One of the things that Priya really admired, I guess, about our relationship and my support of her was the one-on-one mentoring. And she made a significant point that was to be part of this organization. This goal is to move every student forward, and so to find out what the student is working on and helping that person become more confident or more self-assured with that skill is really important. So as Abby mentioned, she's very talented, but when there's an ambiguous situation and there's no guiding map for her, she doesn't feel as confident, I think, right, Abby?
Yes, that is true.
And so ambiguity only gets better or worse, however one looks at that, as you go up your career. So having her have the opportunity to work on that is really important. I think Khadijah is working on networking, and really not those first steps, but how do you make it a relationship as opposed to a transaction, which means being able to have multiple conversations with the same person over a time period. And so Khadijah and I are working on different ways that she might develop that skill.
That's great, because these are all skills you wouldn't necessarily just be born with, right? It makes sense that you need to learn these. So
it takes practice.
Yes. And we should say, Helen, if anybody wants to become a scholar, it's for all genders, even though this is the Dashney Women's Leadership Accelerator. Any gender is welcome to apply.
Absolutely, we are open to all genders.
Yeah, and Abby, Khadijah, let me ask you again, from what you're learning, you're still students, but what are some of your advice for the young people coming up, maybe thinking about a college or MSU or getting into businesses? What are some of your thoughts and advice for the young people?
Of course, I think when I think back to when I was a senior applying to college, one of the things that like I said, I was very focused on certain colleges. And I think looking back, that seems kind of funny to me, because I think regardless of what situation you're in, regardless of what school you go to, it's about the communities you join and the people you surround yourself with. If you have a work ethic and you find the right people and you find people that support you and you find communities like the DWLA, those are going to be the things that are going to help you excel. And just being in rooms of people that, know a lot more than you are the places where you're going to learn the most. So that's something that I would encourage, freshmen at MSU, incoming students, I would encourage all of them to get involved in communities that are going to be the best for their growth.
Abby, how about you?
Yeah, I think that, don't be scared to say yes. Coming to Michigan from Kentucky, there were a lot of things that I could have been scared about, and I just tried to focus on all the new experiences I could have. I'm a big advocate for learning is growing and growing is learning. And so every new experience that you have, you're only going to grow from. And don't be scared to try something new for fear of failure, fear of rejection, because everything's going to guide you and you're only going to learn from those opportunities, and they'll redirect you into what's right for you.
I think it's important, Russ, to add that one of our goals is for all of the women and others, any student, frankly, who goes through this program, to stay connected with the program long after they graduate. So we want to have a big DWLA alum association, or whatever one wants to call it, where these young women today are going to be in their positions. They will reach back to campus, just like so many alums are doing for them, to help the younger students come up through the ranks too.
You're creating the future
Right.
mentors.
Yes.
I hadn't thought, again, a circle of life
Exactly.
sort of a thing.
It's what I did when I started the Financial Markets Institute,
Right.
and some of those people are still very, very involved today, and that's my dream for this organization as well.
Yeah. Now, was there something on March 8th? Did you want to mention an event or?
Yes, we are having our inaugural DWLA event on March 8th, also in coordination with International Women's Day. We're planning to have a keynote speaker, Maria Dewey, and she'll be here to kind of just talk about imposter syndrome and feeling like you don't belong in a workplace, and kind of, helping share her experiences, what she's learned throughout her career, and to connect with all of the women in our program. And we've invited some other students from other women's leadership programs across campus to join us, and we'll also have some professors and some of our mentors be in attendance as well. And we're also hoping to use this as a way to grow the program, so we'll have potential scholars that'll be applying in March and April attend the event, just so they can kind of see what DWLA is all about. And we're hoping that this is an inaugural event that will continue every year and only grow. And I'm really honored to plan this first event with Helen and kind of use my HB skills as the HB person in DWLA to really bring it to life.
Khadijah is our artist in residence, and so Khadijah, we would be remiss without you telling us all about the branding efforts that you've been involved in.
Of course. I think, so I'm a part of a few organizations on campus that have been around for quite some time, and it's interesting to see when you're a part of an organization from the get-go, there's a lot of things that are really important that you can kind of structure that go a long way in setting the tone for the organization. So I personally just love graphic design. I like digital, graphics and things like that. And I run a number of social media accounts for other organizations on campus. And so I thought this was a unique opportunity for me to kind of selfishly, use my own design skills and my own vision for what I wanted the DWLA program to look like, kind of from a visual front. So we have a few different committees within our organization, and one of them is dedicated to outreach and marketing. So, we designed a logo, and we have a few colors. So our colors for the program are maroon, pink, and white. And so hopefully, this just goes to kind of build our identity as an organization, and it can be something that is memorable. And if there are future students that are interested in joining our organization, it'll be, a way for them to kind of remember us and think of us as a really important unit on campus.
You're really building the foundation as the first
Exactly.
set of scholars.
So this program is very experiential in nature. And so these two women demonstrate, where I'm tapping their
Yes.
strengths to help build the organization. To be perfectly honest, we have 4 more students who are organizing our admission process that was referenced, that we're about to start recruiting our next cohort of students, and a couple of the women in the program are actually running the information sessions. 2 more students are going to be helping. They'll actually be part of interviewing prospective students. We want them to be part of that as well. So really trying to get the women involved in, and because we only have women right now, but any student who's
Right.
a part of the program to be active in leading it. It's not what I do, it's what they get to do that's going to advance them.
Well,
I'm the guiding force, hopefully.
Yeah, if I can also just chime in
Yes.
there. I think another really important part of DWLA that kind of attracted me to the program is the fact that we're helping Helen build this. It's not just we're coming in and reaping the benefits and then leaving, but this is a really good opportunity. She at any option or at any opportunity she has, she's asking us, who wants to get involved in this or who wants to help out with this. So every person in DWLA is involved in some kind of internal initiative and helping us grow. So it's unique to be a part of the inaugural cohort, and I think that also speaks to the multiplier effect, which Helen can talk a little bit more about. But the multiplier effect is essentially kind of Priya's philosophy behind our program, the idea that, you get involved and then you inspire more and more students to join you.
Mm-hmm. And then you stay involved. Yeah,
That's right. And not only the women that get involved in the program or students of any nature, but also for these current students in the program, or scholars as we call them, to share their wisdom with their friends and colleagues. We're not going to be able to accept everybody, I expect, who will eventually be interested in it, but through this multiplier effect that Khadijah just referenced, it's key to who Priya is. They'll share their wisdom and more broadly, and many more people will benefit. They really are helping build this, and I welcome their feedback at any time, because it's not what I want; it's really what they feel they need to be able to just go for the gold once they graduate from Michigan State. And
Excellent,
I know all these young students will do that.
Right. Well, it's the Dashney Women's Leadership Accelerator in the Broad College of Business at Michigan State University. Open to all genders, though. Much more information at broad.msu.edu/women's-leadership. So Helen and Abby and Khadijah, great having you on the show, and best of luck moving forward with the Accelerator.
Thank you.
We've enjoyed being here, Russ.
And I'm Russ White. This is MSU Today.